get what you want. I find that the internet's full of that combination's not optimal, this is not optimal, you need this, you need that. No, we're trying to make the most amount of power that we can for a stage 2 with this exhaust. Welcome back to EBT Performance, the home of Squids Speed Shop. I've just completed the baseline run on this 24 breakout. Before I fit all the mods, I like to get a baseline run to see what the gains are. That's really what it's all about. And so in this video, the mods are the same as the previous, the only difference being the exhaust. This bike having the Vance Hines big radius, known for sucking all of the horsepower out of the bike. So it'll be interesting, AB, to see the difference between this one and one running the Freedom sharp curve radius. But before I can get this onto the bench and start tearing it down, I've got a lot of bike shuffling to do. The shop at the minute is pretty full. Look at that. So a bunch of these bikes, they're all going to have to go upstairs so I can move around today. One's being picked up. And yesterday was quite a busy day. I was back late, did a bunch of dyno runs. So if you want to see the results of those, they're on my Instagram page. It'll just be a little clip of the bike maybe and the horsepower it got. Put in the comments to those Instagram posts what you think the combinations are. And so I thought, with the build being the same as the one from the week before, I'll try and show you a couple little different things just to keep it exciting. And yeah, we'll start by me putting these bikes upstairs. Let's get after it. So this is up on my mezzanine. It's the long-term storage or personal projects as well. At a quick glance, there's a sneak peek. Woo! That's my dad's rocker. He's been working on some secret squirrel business up here, sort of just keeping him out of trouble. I'll go through what I've got going on up here and why a bike would get into the sort of long-term storage of my shop. Essentially, that's my dad's lowrider S. He wants a cam in it whenever I get a chance. I've got a dyno here, had a collapsed rear engine mount, and it's just shortened out on the ignition coil. That one's booked in for later this month, but customer had a chance to drop it off, and so I'm storing it until then. We got an old Evo that had blocked throttle pump, and the parts on back order. And so I've been waiting for that one. And so was the customer, but as soon as that part comes in, I'm put that back together and sort that. This breakout is in a little bit early. Customer wants essentially, in layman's terms, a stage 4, but I've got to take the heads off and get them sent out to the machine shop, which should be happening next week. Just depending on time, really. And so I have recorded a sort of a first tour of the shop as I just got it, but the audio was way worse than any video that you've seen so far, which is, I'm working on it. I'm working on the audio. So I'll probably film that again just a little bit of a rundown of how the shop is currently after owning it for 6 months. And I'll try and give a little bit of like backstory as to how it was when I found it. it it's a little rough at the minute. It's still a little rough where customers don't go, just staff only stuff. Doesn't have to be pretty for me, but when I walked into this place originally, man, it was rough. So that is coming. Let me know what you want to see and what you don't want to see. I'll try and film it all. It's but on to today's actual work, tearing down a motor. Let's go. I'm not going to bore you with the teardown this time, so we'll just... It worked! There we go. I've got it torn down. At the minute, I've still got the stock valve springs in it. I've still got the tapper cuffs on, and I've still got the inner cam bearing in it. I'm not going to bore you with showing you the valve spring upgrade again. If you want to see that, that was in the video before. But I will show you my little tricks and tips to change the tapper cuffs. I'll show you putting in and out the cam bearing, and then we'll move on to the other side. I'll show you the primary upgrade. All right, so we've got our bearing puller. That just goes in. Our expander. Give it a little tap. Plate goes on. Now, it doesn't take a lot of force. Just come out smooth. And if you're doing this at home and you feel it bind up, usually there's something just out of alignment and it's not pulling straight. Here is the upgraded one. You can see it's got many more rollers in it. Just can take a little bit more load than the stock one. My installing tool has a little bit of a lip so that it is set at the correct depth every time. So the bearing on, installation tool goes back on the bike. Wind it in until we feel it contact. And when you feel the contact, you just back everything off just a little bit. Twist it in and out so it contacts. And pull it back off. Then nip everything up in place. It's just to ensure that the bearing's going in center. Gently wind it in. Same thing again, if it's binding up, something's out of alignment, and you're putting the bearing in sideways. And then because of the landing on my installation tool, mine locks up firm. And there we have it, new cam bearing installed. Now I'm going to get the cam in, oil pump all back together, cam support plate back in, and then I'll start moving on to the lifters. So I'll turn these off for a minute, and then I'll bring these back for the tapper cuff removal and installation, just to show you the little tricks that I use to make sure that goes off without a hitch. These bolts are made out of cheese. Everybody's well aware of that. And so if you go to undo them without heating them up or breaking the Loctite, they tend to snap off, and then you got to call out some expert to drill a hole and put a new nutsert in there. So my trick is apply a little bit of fire, and essentially I'm trying to heat up the case, not the bolt, because if you're heating up the bolt, you're expanding the bolt and tightening it in the hole. But if you're heating up the case, the hole gets slightly bigger and can dissolve the Loctite. And so I'm just applying a little bit of pressure to undo it, and then it'll break loose. There. And then I repeat the same thing for the front. After removing the stock bolts, you've got to make sure to clean the threads, remove any of the original Loctite. It'll just make your life way easier without it in there. Get a little bit of compressed air. Clear the hole. Just clean up any of the oil. And then we're ready to install the S&S lifter cuffs. The S&S lifter cuffs come with brand new bolts, a little bit of blue Loctite. Then you get your tooth out feeler gauge. That just goes in between the lifter and the cuff. We get out a torque wrench. We torque it to the spec in the instructions. It's online, so it's known to update, so it's worth checking out all the time. And then it's worth rotating the motor a couple of times just to make sure that they're moving freely. So here we are, the bike's now complete, ready for the dyno. The combination is a Star Racing F35A. We've got the S&S lifter cuffs, S&S adjustable push rods, and we have some AV&V high capacity valve springs. This is the same combination that featured in probably last week's video, depending on the timeline. And so the major difference is going to be this Vance Hines big radius. So we're going to see the difference between the big radius and the Freedom Sharp Curve radius. Just know that the customer loves this exhaust and loves the sound and really wanted to keep it. So despite its potential lack in performance versus the Freedom, this is what the customer wanted. And there's not enough people out there saying, get what you want. I find that the internet's full of, that combination's not optimal, this is not optimal, you need this, you need that. No. We're trying to make the most amount of power that we can for a stage 2 with this exhaust. This is a great looking bike. The customer enjoys the hell out of it. You just wanted it to go a bit hard. That's what we're doing. So I'll get it on the dyno. We'll run it up. If there's something that you want to see in the dyno room, let me know in the comments, because I'm a little bit of unsure of what to film, what you'd like to see. What do you want to see? Let me know. Okay, so we've got the first set of runs done. I started out with the base map, which was the final tune from the previous bike, just to see the efficiency difference in the exhaust pipes. So after the first set of runs, what we have here is that in our front cylinder, it's running quite rich, and in the middle a little bit lean, and then rich all the way out. And same story with the rear, rich at the start, leans out, and then rich again. So to me, what this is saying is the pipe is less efficient at 2 to 3,000 RPM. It's slightly more efficient at 3.5 to 4,000 RPM. And from 4.5 onwards, it's less efficient. What I'm going to do now is make my adjustments, get the air and fuel accurate for each cylinder. We'll come back towards the end where I'll make some timing adjustments. The timing should be really close. All the components are the same. There's no compression change. So that should be pretty spot on. So we'll see what the fuel adjustments do, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat about it. So with the fuel adjustments done and a couple of little timing changes, turns out it didn't want any more. We have our final results for how much power it's making in its current form. And so I'll show you that up against the baseline for how it came in. So our red line is what it's doing now. Blue line is what it was doing beforehand. And as you can see, the nature of this pipe, after 4,000 RPM, it just can't flow enough. And it tapers right off. And it's done the same even with all of our modifications, just tapers right off. So we're left with 118 horsepower and 131 foot-pound of torque, which is a great turnout for this exhaust. People don't really understand how much of an effect an exhaust can have. And the customer loves this pipe, loves the sound, loves the look. So he wanted to keep it. So we make it perform the best that it can, and this is still going to be a cracking ride. Thing's got 132 foot-pound of torque at all of the RPMs that most people ride in. Overtaking, cruising, ripping it through the hills, it's all there. But for everybody else that wants to know what the difference was in the freedom to the big radius, I'll bring that up for you now. So the only difference between these two graphs that I'm about to show you is the exhaust and bike-to-bike variation. Same thing again. Our red line is our current bike. The blue line, that's the freedom sharp curve radius. And as we can see, where I stated before, the Vance Hines big radius is more efficient at 3.5. Just there, it just pips it. But everywhere else, the freedom sharp curve radius beats it out. And so typically from this combo, I normally see about the 130 horsepower, 130 foot-pound mark. That's very standard for this combo. But the Vance Hines big radius, they just struggle to make the horsepower. As soon as you get above 4,000 RPM, they struggle to move the air. But all in all, it's still a great result. The customer's going to have a ripper time on this. Don't get too caught up in this exhaust makes more than this exhaust. Man, get what you like. At the end of the day, the customer spent a great deal of money to make this bike look the way he wanted. You know, it's his dream bike, and he just wanted to go a bit harder. And so that's what I've done here, and I'm super happy with the result. It's done way better than it would have if we had to put a SNS 475 in it or another just bolt-in cam. This combination works really well. The Star F35A, the SNS premium intake manifold, and a set of SNS lifter cuffs. We also did the primary upgrade, and yeah, this bike is bulletproof. It'll just rip for ages. Thanks again, guys, for watching today's episode. I hope that you enjoyed seeing a little bit of the differences. I hope you enjoyed seeing me moving all the pikes upstairs and messing around. I promise you there is a workshop tour coming soon. The original footage, the audio was just terrible, and I'm working on that, don't you worry. So, T-shirts also still in the works. Hoppy, I appreciate it, mate. Next episode, what do you reckon it's going to make, guys? What do you reckon it is? I'm pretty damn excited. I'll see you next week. Although I forgot to say, please comment, like, subscribe. I'd much appreciate it. Share it with all of your friends. Thank you.